Shalom, all praises to the Most High, YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI. Peace and blessings to the sincere brothers and sisters out here of Israel, trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. I just wanted to make a quick video about scriptural referencings and context, because if you want to, you have people, no matter where you go, you just have people complaining about, oh, you're taking stuff out of context. That's literally the main argument that they have against Hebrew Israelites reading the scriptures. Like, oh, you're taking stuff and you're taking it out of context and you're misinterpreting it according to your own agenda or whatever. But in reality, even YAHAWASHI, Salakia, I don't have the exact verse, but even YAHAWASHI himself read one verse out of the book of, I believe it was Isaiah, and he just closed the book and that was it. And that's all he needed. Because when you look at the Bible, it is it's confusing to those that don't understand it. The Bible is like a puzzle. You have to put it all together. Matter of fact, Isaiah 28 verse 10 says, "For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little." And you notice how it repeats itself. It said precept upon precept twice, line upon line twice, here a little and there a little. Even within that one verse, it's emphasizing how much you have to look around, quote, supposedly taking verses out of context, but in reality, it's a lot of things that you have to put together. It's kind of like in storytelling. You see these movies and these books and all these they have like different literary devices that they use for narratives. Like, you'll see the end of the movie or nearing the climax first, and then they'll go back and tell the whole story in bits and pieces. Sometimes in bits and pieces. Sometimes they'll show the future, then they'll show the past, then they'll show the middle, then they'll go back to the future, and all this. That's from the Bible. Like anything, most forms of media, most stories, whatever, anime, TV shows, comic books, they get their storytelling methods from the Bible. Let alone Bible stories themselves. Everything. The Bible is the ultimate book. Like, everything that people get, anything that people know, anything that you want to look in the world and claim is wisdom, it's all from the Bible. But I got a little bit off topic. So really, when you read verses like, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity," or "Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers," these are not out of context, and it's not. Or even in Romans or Galatians, when Paul or whoever's writing letters to Israelite, he's writing letters to Gentiles, but really you can go into the meaning of Gentiles, and long story short, Gentiles are just Israelite foreigners that were Hellenized, and they're in these different lands, but they're still Israelites by blood. Just because they look a certain way, it's not like we're not going based off color. We're not going based off of who they appear to be or what language they speak or how they look or anything like that. It's your bloodline, and it's through the Spirit who you are, because it just resonates with you. I'm not saying it's going to resonate with all of Israel, because that's what the 2/3 are there for. But you know, I can't even say for the most part, but you just know through the Spirit, you just know. Now, when you're just looking throughout the Bible, you have, the Bible even tells you that you have to read, you have to look at it in the volume of the whole book. Yahawashi said, I come in the volume of the book. You have to look everywhere for everything. And it's not just looking at the specific context that something was in. Like how some people say, oh, well, shaving your beard, that was only a commandment towards the Levitical priests, and they shaved their heads and all this stuff. But now you're taking it out of context. It's not just something that was said towards the Levites. That's a whole that itself is a commandment telling us not to shave ourselves bald. If we go to Romans chapter 15 verse 4, it says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So that right there is telling you that anything that was written, anything whatsoever was written aforetime, meaning back then, before, at whatever point in time. At this point, we have the whole Bible and the Apocrypha. So the whole book, it was written for our learning. All the commandments in there, aside from, animal sacrifice, which Yahawashi was the ultimate sacrifice for our sins. These commandments are all things, we have to keep them all to the best of our ability. Of course we can't, but that's what grace is for. But it's telling you that these things were written for our learning. So obviously we need to utilize it. So in certain verses, like for example, if you go to also Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9, it says, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So quote unquote history, or literally history, repeats itself. So it doesn't even make sense to say that you're taking something out of context. Even if you look in context, it's still the same thing going on today, but it's going to get even worse now because people just refuse to listen. They're getting worse. Esau is not getting any he's getting more wicked. He's not getting any better. So, and the Bible even tells you to remember. It already told you it was written for our learning, but it also tells you straight up, just remember. If we go to Psalms chapter 137 verses 7 and 8, it says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of and this is telling you to remember what is Israel beseeching the Lord to remember the children of Edom, because we don't want them to get away with what they did. So how much more the Lord, who's overseeing everything, who's in charge of the whole thing, seeing what Esau, which is a so-called white man, what he's doing to his people for centuries, since the beginning. He's always hated his brother Jacob just because he took his birthright, but he didn't take it. He gave it to him fair and square. So it said, remember the children of Edom. And verse 8 says, O daughter of Babylon, which Babylon is America, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. And of course that's not saying literally they serve it. It's saying, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. It's kind of being I don't know what the word, kind of facetious, I guess, facetious language. But of course, you know, it's saying we're going to be happy to bring upon them what they brought upon us. All this hell that we had to deal with, they're going to deal with it too. And not only are we going to bring it upon them, Lord willing, when he gives us the spiritual power. And hopefully, you know, brothers can be a part of that number. But also the Lord will bring it to them through plagues, through different plagues, through different, you know, societal issues like famine, the diseases that, you know, cancer, people just bugging out and killing themselves, all types of pestilences. I think I read Ecclesiastes 1:9 already. Then in Luke chapter 17, starting at verse 24, it says, "For as the lightning that lighteneth out of the one part under heaven, shineth unto the other part under heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. But first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation." So this just goes into history repeating itself again. Verse 26 says, and as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. There you go with the history repeating itself again. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Remember Lot's wife. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. And we already know what's going to happen over here in modern day Babylon, America. It's way worse than before. It's just getting worse. So how much more now? So we know that we got to go precept upon precept. It appears to be out of context to unlearned or just wicked ass people, but really that's how you're supposed to read the Bible. You're not going to understand it if you don't go as it tells you to go. The scriptures also make references across the whole Bible to itself, to different events that happened. It tells you to remember what happened. And nothing really changed. It's the same thing going on back then, the same thing going on now. And I'm going to end it with Deuteronomy chapter 7. And I'll start at verse 9. This is how we know that destruction is coming to Babylon and salvation is coming to Israel. Deuteronomy 7:9. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. So if you keep his commandments, as an Israelite, of course, if you keep his commandments, he will remember you. He'll keep his covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he'll show mercy unto us, the ones that love him and keep his commandments, to 1,000 generations. So that's how faithful the Lord is. As long as we remain faithful, he'll remain faithful. And that's kind of another topic, but that also it's easier for us to because the Lord knows we're human. So, you know, certain verses that kind of exclaim the Lord as, you know, having human-like traits or emotions, it's just for us to better understand things, because the Lord is incomprehensible. That's why YAHAWASHI came on the scene, because it's the Lord Yahweh himself is he's incomprehensible to us. So he knows his people, he knows us as humans. Verse 10, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. And that's how you know the Israelites are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Like who else? Just how the Bible is written. When you see, you know, the way that we talk. Like, this is, even if you don't read the Bible, even if you look at people, you know, so-called black people that don't read the Bible, they talk like that just normally. It's just within them. Verse 11, thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day, to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments, and keep and do them, that the Lord thy power shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers. Jumping down to verse 18. Thou shalt not be afraid of them being the, you know, the other wicked nations, but shalt well remember what the Lord thy power did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt. So there again, it's telling you, remember what he did to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, Egypt, they were the first ones to have the Israelites in captivity. So from the first to the last, which Esau being the last, because like in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, I believe it's verse 9, says, Esau is the end of the world, Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So from the beginning to the end of our tribulations, Esau, Pharaoh, the same thing. Esau's worse though. So if he did all that to Pharaoh and Egypt, what is he going to do to Esau in America, aka Babylon, or Babylon, aka America? And then verse 23, it says, but the Lord thy power shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. And that's pretty much it. So there's nothing to be taken out of context. The Bible itself says, you know, this is how you need to read it. This is how you get understanding. So that's pretty much it. I went longer than I thought I would, but no big deal. That's the spirit. So death to Babylon, death to the 2/3, shalom to the sincere brothers and sisters, shalom to all of Israel, all praises to the Most High, Yahawah B'Hashem Yahushai.